hard copy. Sarah Tokars, killed in front of her own son.
A person who does something like that has no soul.
It was Atlanta's biggest mystery until police announced they had a suspect, Sarah's husband.
Tokars, is your son guilty of murder? No.
Now, the trial that captivated the South and the verdict everyone wanted to hear. A family's justice. A body in the woods discovered by teenagers, yet no one calls police.
I have seen people stop traffic to get a dog out of the road. If we're talking about a human being.
For weeks, it was Houston's darkest secret. Now, the ring of silence has been broken.
These same kids that were keeping this quiet and started them talking.
Their dark secret. Pierce Brosnan shares his most personal pain.
I watched her struggle with this disgusting disease for 4 years, and I watched her die from it.
Now that he's lost his wife, he's battling to save other women.
All you can do is hold your wife's hand, hug her, cry together.
Pierce Brosnan, starting over. For Monday, June 13th, 1994, this is Hard Copy.
Hello and welcome. I'm Barry Nolan. Terry Murphy's on assignment. Glad you could join us. Sarah Tokars was a beautiful housewife and mother of two, brutally killed in front of her own children. And when police began to suspect Sarah's grieving husband, Fred Tokars, they found that the man many thought was a pillar of the community was actually leading a double life. Diane Diamond has the story.
Tokars, is your son guilty of murder? No.
But a jury said yes. Guilty 8 times in a row to drug trafficking, racketeering, and arranging a murder. The murder of Fred Tokars' loving wife, Sarah.
We know we'll never be happy again, but we think that maybe with today's verdict, maybe now we can, with Mom and Dad and Rick and Mike, try to find some peace. I don't think we'll ever be happy again because the horror of, thinking about my sister.
The horror began nearly 2 years ago. Sarah Tokars, a beautiful suburban housewife in Atlanta, Georgia, kidnapped and shot to death as her 2 little boys watched in fear.
I don't think any of us could ever imagine something as terrible as this to someone as good as she was.
They were the 7 Ambrusco sisters, a close-knit family born and raised in Buffalo, New York. 7 beautiful little blonde girls who grew up to be the best of friends.
Anytime we even go into a restaurant, right away the piano player would start playing Thank Heavens for Little Girls. And from that all the way up into growing up into the weddings, and we shared our secrets and our hopes for our futures and our fears. And all those cases and all those years, I guess Sarah was the person who was there the most for every single one of us.
After one failed marriage, Sarah moved to Atlanta, where by chance she met her next husband. She saw Fred Tokars on the evening news. At the time, he was a rising star in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
Fred, she knew from high school days in Buffalo, and they reunited here as she dated, and her and Fred fell in love and subsequently married.
The Tokars seemed to be living the good life. Fred was a successful attorney and part-time municipal judge. Sarah was a devoted wife and mother to their 2 children, Ricky and Mike.
They appeared like any other family to have the positives and the negatives, but Fred was an aspiring attorney and a bright fella, and all the outside showings were that they were happy and successful at what they were trying to accomplish.
But Sarah didn't let on that something was deeply wrong within her marriage, and it all came to a violent end Thanksgiving weekend, 1992. Sarah and her children were returning from a family outing. Husband Fred was away on business. In the house, a stranger confronted Sarah and the boys at gunpoint and forced them back into the car. They drove down the road together for about a half a mile, and then the gunman ordered Sarah to pull over. Another man came toward the car, and in an instant, Sarah was shot in the back of the head while her little boys watched. Frantically, they ran through a nearby field to get help.
To make them suffer through something so violent in front of their eyes, it would be the last thing that Sarah would ever want those kids to have to go through.
The horrific murder sent shockwaves through the South. No one, including Sarah's grieving husband Fred, could understand why anyone would kill this devoted mother and loving wife. But in the weeks that followed, a different picture emerged. Police began piecing together a complicated web of infidelities and illegal business dealings involving Sarah's husband, Fred Tokars.
We're answering no other questions. Come on, guys, why don't we lay off, huh?
Any appeals?
Law enforcement discovered the Tokars' marriage was far from a rosy one. Sarah had been harboring secrets about her husband, Fred Tokars.
I was in her home. She opened up the safe for me. I mean, I didn't touch anything. She just opened it to show me what was in there. And I think she was a scared woman.
In the months before her death, Sarah found documents that linked her husband to a money laundering operation. She wanted a divorce, but was afraid she might lose her sons to her prominent attorney husband.
She asked me that if anything should happen to her, would I please take her file to the authorities? And I think that in itself would tell you that she was afraid of something.
Police found out Sarah had plenty to be afraid of. She was a woman who knew too much. A divorce would threaten to expose her husband's sordid world, and she ended up paying the ultimate price.
It was so terrible because of her being so good and then having had this happen to her in this way, right in front of her little boys.
3 weeks after the murder, cops closed in on 2 suspects. Police say Curtis Rower, a hired hitman, confessed to the killing and told them he was to be paid $5,000 for the murder by suspect number 2. His name is Eddie Lawrence, a man Fred Tokars called his protege. Authorities also discovered a life insurance policy worth nearly $2 million taken out on Sarah's life.
Told me that it had to be done in the house and made it look like a burger.
You remember talking to the police with Mr. Swinger? The money was going to come from Mr. Tokars?
The day after that confession, Fred Tokars, claiming depression over the death of his wife, tried to commit suicide.
I became very depressed. I started to think of the lifestyle that I was losing. Not only my wife, but my whole lifestyle. Unfortunately, I did something that put my life in danger. I made a bad mistake.
Then, shaken by thoughts of George's electric chair, police say Eddie Lawrence finally got a conscience. He cut a deal with the Cobb County DA, spilling all the details of Fred Tokars' plot to have his wife killed. Lawrence said that he was to be paid $1 million. That's when Fred Tokars was arrested. During his 6-week-long trial on federal charges, the pillar of the community was reduced to a heinous criminal.
A man who was a pillar of the community, a man who held a position as a judge, a man who, as I argued, was a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Fred Tokars has always maintained his innocence. At the trial, his lawyers keyed in on the original detectives working the case, claiming they were more interested in a movie deal than catching the real criminal, and that they coerced a confession from the hitman for economic gain.
We arrested Curtis Rower on December 23rd. Curtis Rower's confessed to everybody in the world. I don't know what else I can say about it.
In the end, the jury found Fred Tokars guilty on 8 different charges, including arranging the murder of his wife, Sarah. But that is little comfort to Sarah's parents, her 6 sisters, and most of all to her 2 children, who've now lost both their parents.
I feel that justice was done, and it's hard to believe that somebody could have that done to his wife. You know, it's hard to understand. I can't look at him. You know, it doesn't make me happy knowing he'll spend the rest of his days in jail. Thank you, Sarah, because when I started hearing those guilty verdicts, I just knew she had a hand in this. She couldn't maybe fight it in life, but she won in her death.
Although Fred Tokars was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, he still faces another trial, this one for the first-degree murder of his wife, Sarah. Now, a brutal crime that became a town's dark secret.
I cannot imagine anyone not reporting this.
A death in the woods, next. And then, actor Pierce Brosnan shares his personal pain.
I lost my wife Cassie to ovarian cancer. I watched her struggle with this disgusting disease for 4 years.
Pierce, from the heart.
Tomorrow on Hard Copy, it was an all-out search for the next Fabio.
I'm very down-to-earth person. I'm very approachable. I think this is the way to be.
He radiates sex. He really does.
Who'll be the ultimate cover boy on America's sexiest bodice rippers?
It's not really part of my personality that I show much.
Looking for Mr. Romance. That's tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, a man turns up dead, and it looks like he leaves a suicide note.
I would rather go this way than a slow, agonizing death.
But when police investigated, they discovered the note was written by his wife.
This is the best murder mystery I've ever been involved with.
And that's not all she wrote. Police say she penned the plot to his murder.
I made a mistake, but yes, I have really paid for it, and I hope I don't continue to pay for it.
Murder, she wrote. That's Wednesday.
This lady won't leave her baby with a stranger, and neither would you. So why leave your jewelry with a stranger? We'll loan you cash on your jewelry and treat you and your jewelry just like family. No fooling, no fussing, no hassle. Fast cash in 2 minutes from the people you've trusted for 93 years. So when you need cash fast, see Volks. See me, Bert K., at Volks, 417 Prospect, right downtown.
Is it right that a person who is trained to save your life be allowed to take it away? On Tuesday, we'll look at physician-assisted suicide, what it means, and if it's ethical, and if doctors themselves want to participate in this practice.
Is there equality in your relationship? Is the housework divvied up evenly? Do you both contribute evenly? We'll find out how to better achieve this.
We'll show you tips on how to feel safer in your car and wedding gifts for that couple who has everything.
Plus, Mark will be cruising live on the Good Time 3, Tuesday.
World-class quality on sale now. It's the Z-Bar Tidy Car World-Class event.
Reduce heat and glare with window tint now from $99.95. Get a sunroof installed with removable glass from just $159.95.
Now that's world-class value. Here's more.
Get a remote auto alarm from just $129.95. Get a trailer hitch installed from just $99.95.
Hurry into the Z-Bar Tidy Car World-Class event. We're in the white pages.
Because you depend on your feet, depend on the Cleveland Foot Clinic, where for over 75 years, we've been providing relief from bunions and corns to sprains and more complicated conditions. By combining experience with the latest in technology, such as lasers, we can solve most foot problems quickly and with ease. Of course, most insurance is accepted at our 2 locations, so give us a call at 231-5612. Because you depend on your feet, depend on the Cleveland Foot Clinic.
Ted Danson, Tuesday on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee.
Robbie Bailey was a popular boy. He had many friends in his suburban Houston neighborhood. But when his friends discovered his body in the woods, strangely enough, they didn't tell their parents, and they didn't call police. It became their dark secret.
I cannot imagine anyone not reporting this. I have seen people stop traffic to get a dog out of the road. And we're talking about a human being.
Who can forget the face of a father in anguish? A man whose firstborn son was murdered, then abandoned in the silent woods outside a Houston subdivision. A body deserted, but hardly left alone. Dozens of local kids came, some just to gawk, others to snatch grisly souvenirs. Police say a handful knew 18-year-old Robbie Bailey, visited his house, rode his motorcycle, maybe shared a smoke. But nobody told the cops or Robbie's family about the secret along the river's edge.
Some of the kids who went out to see Robbie's body were kids who you knew.
Yeah, some of them were.
Who had been in your house.
Yeah.
Who were his friends.
Supposedly his friends. If they were his friends, I didn't want to meet any of his enemies.
Robbie's skeleton was recovered in August of 1993 after two little boys found it while playing in the woods. For more than 2 months, police questioned almost 70 kids, checked out hundreds of rumors, but came up empty-handed. Then, in October, Calvin Bailey and his ex-wife Jeannie met Hardcopy's Julie Harmon.
We've got a rumor for every kid that's been interviewed, and that's way too many rumors. But if they know the truth, then not only would it help us, it's going to help them.
Police were convinced that local kids held the key to unlocking the truth about Robbie's murder. After Hardcopy's report on the tragedy aired in late October, the solidarity of silence began to crack.
It played a major part in bringing this around because these same kids that were keeping this quiet, it started them talking. And that's the main thing. When they actually seen the TV program and they started talking, it was no shutting them up.
Investigators started closing in on two teenage boys, one who had recently been whisked off to boarding school in Utah, the other just booted out of a military school at the far end of Texas. On December 22nd, Houston police announced the arrest of two suspects in Robbie's murder, 116, 117, hastily made friends who had shared Robbie's urge for rowdiness and recklessness.
One of the young men that is connected with it was a good friend of his. More or less, Robbie was a big brother figure to him. Probably kept him out of a lot of trouble and turned on him.
In a strange twist, Robbie had been living temporarily with that boy's family, and the Baileys now fear the boy's parents suspected their son was involved in Robbie's murder.
She knew all along her son was involved in it. It really bothers me because the fact, I guess the only reason she was at the memorial service was to see what we knew.
Today, one of the suspects is awaiting trial in a Houston juvenile correction facility, while the other was released for lack of evidence. A Harris County judge ruled that the boy in custody should be tried as an adult. But for the Baileys, the arrest of Robbie's alleged killer can never compensate for the loss of this troubled, spirited, beloved son.
And what are you going to miss most about not having him around?
The smile. In his dreams. He always had fabulous dreams.
The trial for the boys suspected in Robbie's killing begins July 18th. Now, Pierce Brosnan's personal battle.
I lost my wife, Cassie, to ovarian cancer, and I watched her die from it.
Man of Steel, next.
At Sears, we've noticed that nothing brings out the kid in someone like being a dad. And we figured what better way to celebrate the world's biggest kids than with the Sears Father's Day sale. We've got our whole line of new wrinkle-free Dockers pants at a price that's hard to beat. Wrinkle-free, so Dad'll always look great, even when he's playing grown-up. Sure are cute when they're that age. Come see the softer side of Sears.
Introducing a moisturizing bar with a real plus. New Dial Plus. With moisturizers specially blended to help soften your skin. And the antibacterial kind of clean you can only get from Dial. So you feel completely clean and smooth to the touch. New Dial Plus with moisturizers. A cleaner way to soft skin.
Reed's Estate Jewelers, established in 1930, is located at 2nd and Prospect. Reed's, licensed by the state of Ohio, has bank vault security available, and all loans are strictly confidential. No loans are too big or too small for the loan experts at Reed's. Reed's uses ultra-modern techniques and expert jewelers in evaluating your jewelry, thus guaranteeing the highest possible buy and loan values. We also have a partial payment plan that has to be explained to be believed. Come into Reed's at 2nd and Prospect or call 621-1349.
Backdoor Beverage at 656 East 185th, the biggest little beverage store in town. Come to the Back Door for everything from the ordinary to the extraordinary. The Back Door carries over 176 imported and premium brands of beer, as well as one of the finest selections of wine, both foreign and domestic. Save time and money. Take advantage of our party calling service. Order everything from potato chips to paper goods. Start your good times at Back Door Beverage in the heart of the Old World Plaza.
Actress Ann Jillian, tomorrow, live on 5.
It's been 3 years since Pierce Brosnan lost his wife to cancer. All alone and starting over, Pierce is determined to turn his loss into something positive. He is battling to save other women.
I lost my wife, Cassie, to ovarian cancer. I watched her struggle with this disgusting disease for 4 years. And I watched her die from it.
Cassandra Harris was once described as one of the most beautiful women in the world, but she died from a silent killer. And Pierce Brosnan hasn't forgotten. The Irish-born actor is waging his own personal battle against the cancers that are destroying women.
This is an epidemic, breast cancer. Not to be an alarmist, but the numbers have risen greatly, considerably so, frighteningly so, shamefully so.
Pierce and Cassie. They were a golden couple, strikingly handsome and elegant. She was his guide during their 14-year marriage. It was Cassie who advised him to move to Hollywood. He gained stardom 1 year later playing the dapper Remington Steele. It was Cassie who introduced her husband to 007 producer Cubby Broccoli. And now, years later, Pierce has finally been given a license to kill 007 James Bond.
Cassie always pushed Pierce to try new things. She kept their life in motion, whether it's to reach for a new job, to be a good father, to be a good husband. She was the one who got him to stretch and reach.
In 1987, Cassandra Harris became ill while Pierce was on location in India. It was ovarian cancer, the killer whose symptoms are virtually silent until it's almost too late. She struggled for 4 years. He was always by her side, privately and publicly. Pierce, what do you say to people who are going through the same thing that you and Cassie went through?
Just love each other fiercely. Question everything that the doctor gives you. Don't be scared of anyone. You're fighting for your life. You're fighting for your family. And just really question and explore every avenue.
Every once in a while, I'd meet Cassie at a Hollywood premiere, and I'd sit down and talk to her. I had recovered from brain surgery, and she was fighting her fight. There's a certain bond that people who have these things go through. And I can tell you, she never felt sorry for herself. She never said, woe is me. Why me? There was an elegance about this woman, and she had such a lust for life. It was extraordinary.
Being the husband, and I think a lot of men will say this, you feel so impotent. You don't know what to do. All you can do is hold your wife's hand, hug her, cry together.
I think he represents the spouse, the helpless spouse. And, I think that role is nearly as important as the person who has to go through it. And he had to watch Cassie go through all her pain, and, that's his own personal pain.
Since Cassie's death in 1991, Pierce has yet to meet anyone who is her equal. He keeps busy educating the public and lawmakers about the disease. Hard Copy caught up with Pierce at this benefit for UCLA's cancer research.
How many more women have to enter the dark tunnel of fear to fight against this dreadful, disgusting disease? But we have to have hope and faith that all the lost lives of so many beautiful women were not in vain.
From the looks of the crowd, Pierce is already succeeding.
Run for women. For me, I guess this is quite cathartic. I've found a voice somewhat, and hopefully my participation in these events will spur them on and create an awareness that we need funding.
A lot of courage there, a lot of heart. We'll be back in just a moment.
The secret to heating and cooling your home is buried in this yard. It's geothermal energy that keeps the ground at a fairly constant temperature all year long. And now there's a technology to use this natural geothermal energy to heat and cool your home for less. Ohio Edison calls it System GT, and it can reduce your heating and cooling costs by up to 60%. For new or existing homes, large or small, all you need is an A-plus System GT dealer and a yard.
We've lined up some terrific guests for the next Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. Tuesday, Ted Danson has a son who's out for revenge in his new movie.
Well, this is good. You know, this is really good. I'm glad we had this little talk.
He'll give us a preview of Getting Even with Dad. And from Saturday Night Live to In Living Color, comic Chris Rock. Plus, Mr. Mother Earth shows you how to grow the ultimate rose garden this summer on the next Live.
Tuesday at 10 on News Channel 5.
I'm Helen Ford. During my father's years as a public servant, he was regarded as a highly effective and no-nonsense lawmaker. As his daughter, and a lawyer too, I am working with him to provide quality legal services to those who need a fighter on their side. His promise is mine too.
If you've been injured in an accident, call us for a free consultation.
We'll make sure the system treats you fairly.
Going into business, in today's economy, the need to make the right decision is more important than ever, and the right decision is to contact SCORE. SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, is a nonprofit organization of men and women who have successfully completed their business careers and now offer their knowledge, talents, and experience to help your business in the right direction. Would you like to ensure success in your business? Contact the professionals at SCORE. Call 522-4194 and score the advantage.
My daddy says that he makes the best jewelry at the best prices because he cuts out the middleman.
Gemworks, 8803 Brecksville Road in the Millside Center, has the diamond prices you dream about. We import direct from overseas so that you can buy a 1-carat diamond starting as low as $14.99. Gemworks, the retail store with the wholesale price, 546-9999.
Hey, Daddy, what's a middleman?
Now here's a look at what's coming up on Hard Copy.
It was an all-out search for the next Fabio.
I'm very down-to-earth person. I'm very approachable. I think that's just the way to be.
He radiates sex. He really does.
Who'll be the ultimate cover boy on America's sexiest bodice rippers?
It's not really part of my personality that I show much.
Looking for Mr. Romance. Tomorrow on Hard Copy.
And that's it for tonight. Take care.
I lost my wife Cassie to ovarian cancer. I watched her struggle with this disgusting disease for 4 years. And I watched her die from it. This is an epidemic, breast cancer. Not to be an alarmist, but the numbers have risen greatly. Considerably so, frighteningly so, shamefully so. You're fighting for your life, you're fighting for your family. And just really question and explore every avenue